Welcome to Teen Book Talk with Stacey at the Goffstown Public Library. I'm Stacey, the Teen Services Library Assistant. Okay, today our book talk is going to be a little bit different because we're going to have something called a book tasting. No, we're not going to lick the books. That is deeply frowned upon. When you think of a tasting, the first thing that comes to my mind is going through the grocery store or one of those big warehouse stores, especially on the weekend when they have all these little stations set up that you can go through and basically have your whole lunch, right? You can try something in the frozen food section, you could try something in the bakery, you can try something, so you're getting a tasting. So today I'm going to have 3 books and I'm going to give you a tasting of them. Basically I'm going to give you a little summary of the book, and then we're going to read an excerpt of the book. We're going to talk a little bit about why this might appeal to somebody, and then you can decide for yourself if this is a book you'd like to try. A book tasting. All right, so I have 3 books. Let's get started. Okay, so our first book is called Eliza and Her Monsters, right here. I'm also going to put a picture up so that you can see it closer. This is by Francesca Zappia. All right, so let me just tell you a little bit about the book first. So it's in the genre of realistic fiction, character-driven. So if you really, if that compels you in a story, that character development and characters kind of moving the story along, then this is a book for you. The themes center around mental illness and fandemonium. Right? So if you are a fan of fan fiction, then that is inside this story too, and you may enjoy that. If you liked Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, then this is also a book that you may enjoy. And based on some reviews that I heard, people actually liked this book better. So, might be something interesting. So why don't we first go ahead and I'm going to read inside and give you a taste of this book. All right. Sadly, I need to put my glasses on. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. All right. In the real world, Eliza Merck is shy, weird, and friendless. Online, she's Lady Constellation, the anonymous creator of the widely popular webcomic Monstrous Sea. Eliza can't imagine enjoying the real world as much as she loves the online one, and she has no desire to even try. Then, Wallace Warland, Monstrous Sea's biggest fanfiction writer, transfers to her school, and Wallace thinks Eliza is just another fan. As he draws her out of her shell, she begins to wonder if a life offline might be worthwhile. But when Eliza's secret is accidentally shared with the world, everything she's built, her story, her relationship with Wallace, even her sanity, begins to fall apart. All right. I love this little review right here. It says, a love letter to fandom, friendship, and the stories that shape us. Eliza and Her Monsters is absolutely magical. So let's see. When I'm looking at a book, I definitely kind of peruse through it. And I do read a little bit in the beginning, you know, if there's a prologue or first chapter, just so I can kind of see the writing, see if it's something that I enjoy, and if it captures me. So let's do that right now. Just a small excerpt from the prologue. Eliza Merck is the kind of name you give to the creepy girl who clings to her ex-boyfriend for weeks after he's dumped her, because she refuses to accept that he hates her guts. Eliza Merck is a low-level villain with a secret hideout in the sewers. Eliza Merck belongs in a comic book. But Eliza Merck is me. I don't think I'm desperate or deluded enough to hang on to an ex-boyfriend after he's broken up with me, and I wouldn't go near a sewer with a 10-foot pole. And unfortunately, I do not live in a comic book. I do live kind of a comic book life, I guess. I go to school during the day, and at night I cast off my secret identity to become Lady Constellation, creator of one of the internet's most popular web comics, Monstrous Sea, and fearless mother of a fandom. My superpower is the ability to draw for hours without realizing what time it is or that I haven't eaten too long. I succeed in disappearing in my disguise, and I excel at standing out in my true form. Why Lady Constellation, you may ask? Because, I reply, my favorite culture in Monstrous Sea comes from a people who have stars in their blood. These people, the Nocturnians, instinctively chart stars. That is their calling in life. That is what they feel they must do. As I feel, I must tell their story. Lady Constellation is the one charting the story, drawing lines between plots and characters and places that, like the Nocturnians, draw connections between stars. She is fearless, like the Nocturnians. She is mysterious and aloof. And like the Nocturnians, she believes in the mystical, the supernatural, the unknown. Lady Constellation is the hero who defeats Eliza Merck once a week and celebrates with her many admiring fans. She is beloved by all, even the villain, because without her, the villain wouldn't exist. I am Lady Constellation. I am also Eliza Merck. And this is the paradox that can never be solved. All right, so what did you think? Did it grab you? Pique your interest a little bit? Right on the cover, we have some thought bubbles that come right off of Eliza's picture right here. We're going to assume it's Eliza. It says her story is a phenomenon, her life is a disaster. So I think that gives us a little bit more insight into what's going on in this story. I forgot to say this earlier, but there's no need to write down the titles because as usual, right below this video, I will be putting in the description box the books that we talked about today and whether they can be found through the Goffstown Public Library's physical location or if they can be found on a downloadable platform. So all that information will be there. So don't worry, just enjoy, think about these books, figure out, make notes, you know, what grabbed you. Okay, so book number 2 is Ink in the Blood. Here we go. I'm sorry, there's a glare. So guess what? We're just gonna put it up again on a picture. Okay, Ink in the Blood by Kim Smejkal. I'm guessing by the cover, you can figure out that this is probably part of fantasy fiction. It's actually dark fantasy. And when we're talking about fantasy fiction, we're saying that light vanquishes dark, right? We have magical artifacts, climactic battles, all centered around a world of imagination. All right, so the other thing you're gonna find with this book is when I read some reviews on it, and I also read a little bit about what makes somebody want to read this book, it is very compelling. So the plot moves along quickly. It also is very suspenseful, mystical. So those might be key words that draw you into a book. Let's see, anything else? Oh, if you have liked There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole, then this may also be a book that you will enjoy. I like giving you a book that maybe someone has read or you've heard about, and that this is a likeness of that book. And so that sometimes helps people figure out which books they'd like to read. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing, right? Let's read the inside first. Inside cover here. All right. Woe to the Inklings who cannot escape. Celia Sand and her best friend, Anya Bertoni, are Inklings for the esteemed religion of 𝒄𝒏𝒔. Using magic, they tattoo followers with beautiful images that represent the divine's will, and they guide the action of the recipients. It's considered a noble calling, but 10 years into their servitude, Celia and Anya know the truth. 𝒄𝒏𝒔 is built on lies. The tattooed order stripped away freedom, and the revered temple is actually a brutal, torturous prison. Their chance to escape arrives with the rabble mob, a traveling theater troupe, using their Inkling abilities for performance instead of propaganda. Celia and Anya are content for the first time, until they realize who's followed them. The divine they never believed existed is very real, very angry, and determined to use Celia. Anya and the rabble mob's now infamous stage to spread her deceitful influence even further. To protect their new family from the wrath of a malicious deity and the zealots who work in her name, Celia and Anna must unmask the biggest lie of all, 𝒄𝒏𝒔 itself. All right, right on inside, we have this cool little map. I love looking at maps, and I think that definitely, as you read in the story, is going to help you figure out where things are happening in this imaginative kingdom. All right. Small little bit of the prologue here, a tasting. See if this is a book that you might enjoy. The tattoo appeared around Celia's ankle in the night. The magic woke her, the pain alarmed her, and her mothers comforted her. The thin black line summoned her to serve the divine. It meant Celia was special. So Celia asked for a chocolate. She figured the worst her mothers could say was no, like always. But if they were ever going to say yes, it would be when they were so proud of her that they couldn't stop crying. But first they asked her to tell the divine story. And Celia was already 6 years old and knew the story very well. Standing in front of the hearth so the snaps and crackles of the fire would add to the performance, she cleared her throat and began. 1,000 years ago, a child found a magic box with some ink in it. Magic ink. With that special ink, the child tattooed people without touching them. When she drew a temporary line on her own skin, it became a permanent line on someone else's. Didn't matter how far away they were either. It was as if the child could talk directly to the angels. Her tattoos were mystical, and her messages were pure. She wanted to help people make good choices. Her mothers nodded and smiled. So far, so good. She continued. But a few people got scared because the tattoos were so personal. Of course, they were meant to be personal. Those scared people got even more scared, and a few of them drowned that long ago child. Held her underwater until she stopped breathing. They didn't want her tattoos. Celia inhaled. She hated that part. But the child didn't leave. Not really. She transformed into the divine, still guiding us with her ink from afar. Here, but not here. Celia fluttered her hands in the air vaguely. It was just like whoever had drawn her tattoo was here, but not here. She continued. Then another child tried to claim the ink as hers. She tricked the people. This was 𝑑𝒊𝒂𝒓𝒔. Celia loved saying that name, stretching it out, a word of whispered screams. 𝑑𝒊𝒂𝒓𝒔. But the clever faithfuls weren't fooled. They exposed the second child's treachery and killed her too, and 𝑑𝒊𝒂𝒓𝒔 joined the divine in the other realm. And they've battled for souls ever since. 𝑑𝒊𝒂𝒓𝒔 trying to lure people to hell, and the divine guiding them toward heaven with her magic tattoos. One day, when the divine can beat 𝑑𝒊𝒂𝒓𝒔 for good, she will return to us. Celia bowed and politely asked for the chocolate. Her mothers didn't give her one. They banged on neighbors' doors for hours, collecting as many sweets as they could, and it became quite a party. The next day, even after her mothers took her to the temple and left her there, Celia felt their love. She'd almost gotten sick from all of it. If they were honored that their child had been called to serve the divine, it had to be a good thing. It didn't even occur to Celia to think it would be anything other than wonderful. That's how stupid she'd been. That's the cliffhanger right there, right? Now we want to know what happened to make Celia think that she's not working for the divine, or that it's not special to be part of the divine. That's why we want to continue reading the story. So I don't know. This one did it for me. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. How about you? Okay, so book number 3. Our next book is called We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Now, I have it on my iPad. I don't have the physical book. So I'm going to put a picture up here. Now you can see it. And then I'm going to give you the information from my iPad and read you a small excerpt. And let's see if this one piques your interest. And maybe all 3 have piqued your interest so far. That's awesome, right? 3 books that you might be interested in. Woo, win-win. All right, here we go. Quick summary is that spending the summers on her family's private island off the coast of Massachusetts with her cousins and a special boy named Gat, teenage Cadence struggles to remember what happened during her 15th summer. Now, during her 15th summer, she had a head injury off on this private island that her grandfather owns. So now if we're thinking private island, grandfather owns, we know that this family probably comes from money, right? All right, so she has this head injury and she's starting to try to piece together what happened that summer. She has pieces missing about what went on. So this is a thriller and suspense book, my favorite. The storytelling is non-linear, and what that means is that we don't go in a chronological order. Instead, the book shifts between time periods and events. I really actually like that. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of it all, but that's something that pulls me into a book. Maybe it pulls you into a book. All right, the other thing is that, and we probably can already understand that we have an unreliable narrator, right? We have this girl who can't really remember what happened the summer that she turned that she was 15. We also have a head injury in there, which might skew some things. So we definitely have an unreliable narrator. We're not able to trust the truth of the events that the narrator's talking about. That is another thing that completely draws me into a book. Maybe you as well. So let's read a small excerpt from this book. So this book, I'm not sure if you can see it or not on my iPad. We also have a map of the island. And definitely when we're having a non-linear kind of storytelling, the map might come in handy so we can kind of piece together what happened where. So I'll show that to you. All right. We also have to scroll through a couple pages. Part 1. Welcome. Welcome to the beautiful Sinclair family. No one is a criminal. No one is an addict. No one is a failure. The Sinclairs are athletic, tall, and handsome. We are old money Democrats. Our smiles are wide, our chins are square, and our tennis serves are aggressive. It doesn't matter if divorce shreds the muscles of our hearts so that they will hardly beat without a struggle. It doesn't matter if trust fund money is running out. If a credit card bills go unpaid on the kitchen counter. It doesn't matter if there's a cluster of pill bottles on the bedside table. It doesn't matter if one of us is desperately, desperately in love. So much in love that equally desperate measures must be taken. We are Sinclairs. No one is needy. No one is wrong. We live, at least in the summertime, on a private island off the coast of Massachusetts. Perhaps that is all you need to know. All right, we have another cliffhanger, right? No, maybe I need to know more. What's with the so much in love? Who's so much in love? All right, right there, right? No one's a criminal, no one's an addict, no one's a failure. Is that giving us clues into some of the other characters maybe in this book? So there was a lot to unpack in that one little excerpt right there. And I think this is another book that totally drew me in. So what did you think? Let's take these off now. We don't need those anymore. Did the summaries and the small excerpts, did it do enough to cause some intrigue? Did it give you enough of an appetite to want to devour one of these books? I definitely think 2 of them are on my read list for this month. So I am going to give Ink in the Blood a try, and I'm also going to give We Were Liars a try. And so maybe later on, after I've read both of those books, I'll have a book talk to give you my review and summary of them. But I would love to know if one of these books piqued your interest. So you could leave us a comment here on our YouTube page. You could leave us a comment on our Facebook page. You could leave us a comment on our teen Facebook page. Did you know that we have a teen Facebook page? I know teens aren't on Facebook very much anymore, but we do have one, and maybe you'd like to give it a try. Kind of see what's going on. Talk to me on there. I'd really like it. All right, and we also have Instagram. So any one of those places, you could let us know if you chose to try one of these books and maybe give it a small review. Another thing, if you enjoyed this video or any of our other videos, did you know there's a little thumbs up mark? Give us a thumbs up if you liked this. And if you want to get more of this great content, you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you know right away when more fascinating videos come up. I'm really happy that you joined me today. I thank you for watching all of our book talks. We have more coming next week. So until then, happy reading.